Forced labor, resource extraction, unhuman working conditions, and the violent suspensions of protest using firearms. All of this is Africa. But this is not a story from 200 years ago. This is happening today, right now. The Congo is the world leader in cobalt reserves. About 55% of global cobalt reserves are located in this African country. Cobalt is a key material used in batteries for electric cars. But here is a problem. Around 80% of this industry is not controlled by people of the Congo, but by the Chinese Communist Party on the other side of the world. Using what critics call forced labor, China extracts resources, ships them to China, and produces batteries. The same situation exists with copper, aluminum, oil, and other imported natural resources. Workers in the mines have almost no rights and receive very low wages. If they protest, they are often sent to prison or even killed. This looks like modern colonization. But as you may notice, China did not send an army to take over African countries or territories. So, how did China manage to colonize Africa? And why is no Western country trying to stop it? How does it work in practice?
Corruption is not bad. Corruption is only bad if I'm not involved. Yes. But if I'm part of that corruption, I'll defend it.
The Chinese Communist Party sends official representatives to African countries with offers to build projects, for example a railway, but under very unfair conditions for African countries. Through corruption, these deals are approved. China gives loans to Kenya. Kenya hires a Chinese company to build the railway. The Chinese company brings workers from China and starts construction. After the project is completed, for the first 10 years, the profit to go another Chinese state owned the company. We will come back to quality of Chinese construction later, but the debts still has to be paid. So Kenya borrows money, uses that the same money to pay China for building the railway, provides jobs for Chinese workers, and then pays the debt back with its own money. And on the top of that, China still owns the buildings they make and keeps making profit from them for another 10 years. But sometimes the deals get even harsher. Unlike European countries, the Chinese colonizer maintains power not directly through force, but through massive debts. The Chinese system of debts-based control is no different from classic mafia practices. You give an unreliable borrower a loan or a favor, and then you can do whatever you want with them and use them for your own purposes. That's exactly how China operates. China lends money to African countries fully aware that they won't be able to repay it. Then, as soon as unreliable borrower starts having troubles with payments, China begins putting heavy pressures on the leaderships and applies the harshest measures, seizing resources, forcing political decisions that suit Beijing, and so on. To those who resist, the most brutal methods are used, up to physical elimination. In reality, China doesn't directly order the suppression of the protest. Instead, it demands that African governments solve the problems at the mines owned by the Chinese Communist Party. How exactly they do it is of no concern to Beijing. The only thing that matters is that the party grows stronger and stronger, and the flow of African resources to China continues uninterrupted. While European countries treated their colonies as a long-term investment, China views Africa as a one-time project. Grab the money here and now, suck out everything possible immediately and leave. What happens afterward doesn't matter. In some African countries, China controls up 80% of the resources like cobalt, copper, oil, and more. Local workers dig these valuable materials in the mines and earn an average between $14 and $500 a month. If you count inflation and what you can actually buy, that's about the same as what slaves got in 19th century. The working conditions are really tough. No unions, no workers' rights, no holidays. To keep the Chinese Communist Party strong, any strikes are crushed fast and very hard. In some cases, China also carries out construction projects in Africa. In return for resources, China builds roads, schools, and stadiums in Africa. You may ask, what's wrong with that? First, the resources they take out are worth way more than things they build. Second, China builds very fast, but they still don't know how to build well. Their buildings and structures are so bad in quality as Chinese cars and phones. Even in China itself, new houses and bridges starts falling apart from just wind or rain. That's for their own people. Now imagine the quality of schools they built for Africans.
Все общего, до чего они не докасаются, это все просто...
But the story doesn't end there. Resources like cobalt go to straight to China. They process it and make batteries for electric cars. Then Western leftists push the green agenda and buy these eco-friendly cars from China. Western leftists have strong ideological, money and corrupt connections with China. That's why they don't talk about modern slavery in Africa. Instead, they keep bringing up the old days and trying to make Europeans feel guilty. Slavery is never cute or positive, but if you compare the two systems, you can see a huge difference. After Europe left Africa, it left behind technologies, education, medicine, European-style institution of power, which Africans mostly used not to use, infrastructure, and taught them everything it knew. After China leaves Africa, what will remain is corruption that's become even worse than it was before they arrived. Cheap, disposable structures, total lawlessness, utopian communist ideas, and enormous, literally gigantic debts.